Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Kris. This episode is two part. It's sponsored by YouBuyWeRush. This is Madinah University. Why I went and how I survived. This is from. Did you say his name was Saeed Lipham? Lipham. I've done one before. I forgot how he said his name. Anyways, we'll find out. Did you notice me give the little click on the thumbs up? If you do that too, that helps me tremendously. You can subscribe to the channel if you'd like, and if you want your name sponsoring a video, you just have to click that thanks button and donate and request a video. You can still request a video without donating. It just takes longer to get to. Okay? This is going to be a two-parter, and I'm going to start at chapter 4. Okay?
Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. One thing I wanted to start doing more of on this channel is sharing some of my experiences in Madinah. Because one thing I'm realizing as I interact with more people in the comments and things like that is how big of an effect it has when somebody is just born and raised in a country like America, a non-Muslim country where they don't really have access to scholars, where they're not really living in an Islamic environment, how much of an effect that has on people's perceptions of the religion and life, and how impactful and beneficial it can be to have the opportunity to go live in a place like Madinah, to study full-time at the Islamic University with scholars and other students of knowledge. So I really just wanted to share some of my experiences, and hopefully it'll be beneficial, inshallah. I ask that Allah make it beneficial and guide me to say what's correct. And also, as time goes by, I'm realizing that, if I don't start documenting some of these things, I might forget, because I've already been back for a year. Life moves on, you become busy with things. So I wanted to try to start recording some of these videos about my time in Medina. So I guess a good place to start would be why I wanted to go and study there in the first place. Basically, when I embraced Islam in 2008, I didn't get the opportunity to go study until 2010. So during that time, there was a lot of confusion regarding certain specific things related to Islam and how I practice it and who I should listen to, because I knew that the Quran was from Allah. I knew that, there was no doubt. And therefore I knew that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was the messenger of Allah. So I knew that. But as I started going to the different Muslim communities and traveling and talking to different people and listening to different speakers, there were certain things that became confusing for me, and I had certain issues that I couldn't overcome here. I just realized, like, subhanallah, I need to go somewhere and study Islam full time. I also realized how impressionable I was, because if anyone knew some Arabic, if anyone spoke with some authority about the deen, and they were eloquent, and they were co-signed by anyone else who I deemed respectable for whatever reason, I was completely susceptible to just following them and considering them scholars. And as I look back now, I rewind, I look back 11, 12 years, and I've even gone back to some of those old lectures that I heard from some of these people giving da'wah who I thought were so knowledgeable and scholars. And subhanallah, just to see the reality now about how they're not scholars. And not only that, but they would make huge, blatant errors about their understanding and propagation of the deen. But anyways, these were some of the realizations I was coming to as a new Muslim, and it was very frustrating for me. But there's one hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that has manifested so many times in my life, and that is where he taught us that you will not give up something for the sake of Allah, except that He will replace it with something better. And that is something that is so profound And when I think about my life, it's so true. It has been so true throughout my life. Anytime I reached a fork in the road where I had to make some sort of a decision, I had to give up something for the sake of Allah, or I had to sort of, side with my desires, if I'm being honest with myself. Every time I gave up something for the sake of Allah, even though it might have seemed like, oh, I'm losing, I'm gonna lose out on something in this dunya, Allah always replaced it with something so much better. Whether it was friends, whether it was a job, whether it was a hobby, whatever it was, Allah always replaced those things with something better. And it's not something that is always immediate. Okay, it's not like, sometimes you have to have some patience, but know that the Prophet ﷺ spoke the truth. Know that Allah's promise is true. So, anyways, I basically realized that I have to go abroad and study. I have to learn the Arabic language. So I applied to the Islamic University in Madinah. I was working to get my teaching English as a foreign language certification to go and work abroad, if that's what I had to do. But whatever I had to do, I knew that this was something that was inevitable for me. I had to go live in a Muslim country. I had to learn the Arabic language, and I needed to really learn from scholars and develop certain tools where I can differentiate between what's true and what's false in the deen. So this is what really led up to me really wanting to go abroad and study. I knew it was something I had to do. That being said, I can sympathize with many of the Muslim brothers and sisters in the West who were never given that opportunity, or perhaps they never even really had the desire to do so, and therefore they see the religion in a certain type of way that I used to see it in. I used to get very, very frustrated when people would, criticize certain du'at, because we're so limited. We are so limited. Anyways, I want to get on to Madinah, because some you'll be able to see the difference once I start explaining to you what it's like living in Madinah versus living in America. For example, the khatib, the one who gave the Juma khutbah in my neighborhood, was Sheikh Saleh As-Suhaimi. We're talking about a true scholar of Islam. One of my neighbors that lived right next to me, who used to pray in the masjid right behind my house, was Sheikh Ali Nasser al-Faqihi. Like, these are real scholars. I would go sometimes to the baqala, to the grocery store, and I would see like some of the upper administration from the University of Madinah. You're living amongst students of knowledge, amongst real scholars. Where you're hearing the adhan, everyone's Muslim. Living in that sort of an environment, you just have access to, you just have such a higher bar when it comes to who is a scholar. And you see how people recognize that, how people know their level. Like, you can't just go around saying unprecedented stuff that you're clearly not qualified to talk about. But it's like in America, it's the wild, wild west, man. Anyone can say whatever they want. People who don't even know Arabic, haven't never really even studied, can start giving tafsir, giving their own new tafsir. We've seen this. I'm not making this up. People have really done this. They wrote articles giving a new tafsir of the Quran. They have no business doing this. This is the sort of thing you would never even imagine. No one would even consider doing in a place like Madinah. Like, it's crazy. People coming with brand new stuff, passing fatwa about major things, and they have no business doing it. It's like in a place like Madinah, people know, oh, you want to know about a particular issue? There's something sort of unclear, something new. There's some bid'ah. Okay, you can go to these scholars, man. People got their phone numbers. People know what masjid they pray in. They go to them, ask them. And even some of the teachers in the university, I mean, way more qualified than any of these du'at. Like, even they know, they would say, no, look, well, the big issue like that, you go to the major scholars for these sorts of major issues. But it's like in the West, man, we have no conception of that. We just think somebody's a scholar, somebody is some sort of an academic, and they can talk about anything. You know, to the point where even some of the refutation videos that I've done, if you look at my channel, you'll notice that I'm teaching very basic things. Okay, I basically take different issues and I try to explain them in a way that is very easy to digest and understand. And I try to prioritize and make sure that I'm bringing things that are relevant. And that's pretty much all I do. And any of the refutations I did, you'll notice it's when there's an individual here who is coming forth with some sort of new behavior, some sort of unprecedented behavior, many times by their own admission. These are things that they themselves specifically say. That yes, I'm bringing forth a bid'ah. Or no, yes, I've reached a new level of understanding. They clearly say these things, like it's not even complicated. But in the West, what so many of us do is we just look at credentials. We just think like, oh, well, this person, he's at this level, he has his PhD, and you're, some young, zealous guy, so I'm gonna side with him. I'm gonna side with the intellectual. Where it's really not even that complicated. Like when you see somebody who is speaking about the deen in a new way, about a topic that is so major, you got to understand, for those situations, you need somebody who is like a bona fide scholar, because we're talking about the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we're talking about other things, normal, common sense sort of things, it's not, you don't have to be a bona fide scholar. Everyone needs to know their level. Anyway, so moving forward, I guess I just wanted to say, like, I kind of understand the frustration and the confusion that people have, because we're so desperate here. It's like we're so thirsty, and we finally find some water, and someone says, hey, that water has poison in it. And they're like, oh, so I'm dying of thirst. I finally found something to drink, and you're telling me I can't drink it. So I understand, I understand the frustration. But anyways, moving forward, alhamdulillah. So I finally got accepted to the Islamic University, and everything leading up to that, I always tried to be balanced. I always tried to learn Arabic myself. I always tried to have an open mind and have ikhlas and make sure that I wasn't following anybody due to some sort of a peer pressure or for some sort of worldly reason. And that's something that we have to keep in mind. If you want Allah to replace that which you leave with something better, you need to make sure you're doing things for His sake. Sometimes I think people, from what I've seen over the years, and Allah knows best people's intentions and situations and the reality, but sometimes we're faced with, there's a fork in the road, and it's like, all right, I don't think what this group that I'm running with is doing things that are correct. I think that they are, if I'm honest with myself, if I'm going to be genuine, I think that they are doing things that are wrong. But if I speak out against them, or if I just leave them, or I don't submit to the peer pressure they're putting on me, I know what's going to come with that. They're going to boycott me. They're going to be upset with me. I might be lonely, so on and so forth. But from what I found, and I've always tried to, and anything good I've ever done is just from the mercy and the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But anytime I found myself in those sorts of a situation, it's about fearing Allah. It's about fearing Allah. Not fearing these people. Not fearing people being upset with you or boycotting you.
We're going to go back. Okay. I went longer than I was kind of expecting, but either way, video will get done. So this is part 1. We'll be back with part 2. From my own experience, trying to contact a mosque near me, it's been well over a month. I've emailed 4 times. I've called. I've never gotten an answer. Never gotten a phone pickup, nothing. Driven by, it's always empty. So I have no idea what's going on. So I understand what he's saying. But we're going to go ahead and end this here. We'll be back with part 2 tomorrow. Unless this is Friday, then it'll be part 2 on Monday. Until then, have a good day, have a good night.